Massive manhunt is underway in France for the gunman who shot and killed 4 people and wounded several others near a world-famous Christmas market. It happened in the city of Strasbourg, which is the home to the European Parliament. The shooting is being treated as an act of terror. It's not known if the market itself was targeted. Officials say the alleged gunman is known to police and has a criminal record. Well, Time magazine names 4 journalists and a newspaper as its 2018 Person of the Year, one of which is slain Saudi columnist Jamal Khashoggi. The choice marks the first time the magazine has featured journalists or recognized someone posthumously. Time's executive editor says the choice was not meant to take a jab at its second runner-up, President Trump. If news breaks out, we'll break in. I'm Trace Gallagher. Now back to Tucker Carlson.
Most Americans, according to surveys, don't want more immigration into this country. Most Americans are also pretty used to being denounced as racist for having those views. But it turns out they are not alone. Hardly. Skepticism of immigration is a trait they share with virtually everyone else on the planet. Pew Research surveyed people in 27 different countries on the question of immigration. In not a single country, and that includes Mexico, South Africa, Sweden, in not a single country did they find a majority that wanted more immigration into their country. So the question must be asked, is the entire world racist? Victor Davis Hanson is a fellow at the Hoover Institution. He joins us tonight. Professor Hanson, thanks very much for coming on. So we've been told for, many years that our elites have an attitude about immigration, open borders are great. The rest of the world shares this attitude with them because they're enlightened, and only dumb people in Ohio and Alabama disagree. These new numbers show that's not true at all.
No, it's not, and the dissatisfaction comes because of the sheer numbers. I mean, we have almost 1/4 of the world's immigrants right in the United States, somewhere between 45 and 60 million. And people don't feel that the melting pot and integration and assimilation is working, and by intent. And then they look at countries that send people all over the world, China, India, Mexico, Turkey, and they lecture people on their supposed civic duties. And then those are the countries that are least likely to allow immigrants to come in to their own nation. And it kind of poses this question, if it's so unpopular and people didn't vote for this, why does it continue? And I think the answer is that whether you're in California or Nevada or Paris or London, that the administrative progressive elite feel that they can take the short-term unpopularity because they're changing the demography. And you mentioned that with a prior guest. They're creating a reason for larger government subsidies, entitlements, and fealty with newcomers who don't really process themselves into the assimilation process. And then I think they also virtue signal that they're so moral people, and their wealth or their influence or their positions insulate them from the ramifications of their own ideology. So they don't put their kids in schools with 50% non-English speakers, in the case here in California. They live in gated communities. They don't feel that they're going to experience the downside firsthand. Instead, they say racist, xenophobe, and that deters these people who don't really make their feelings known unless the Pew poll or a poll like them asks them.
But these are the very same people but they're always lecturing us about democracy. So you'd think they'd care about what the majority wants, because that's the central principle of democracy, but they don't care.
Yeah, they don't care, though. They don't believe in democracy. They believe that people are ignorant and that they need an anointed elite to guide them. And they don't really talk about the existential question. That is, why are 250 million people on this planet moving in different directions? And it's always from non-Western to Western, or from non-Westernized to Westernized country. And the left that oversees this process never says to themselves, wow, if you have a constitutional government, if you promote rationalism, if you're tolerant, you have free market economics, you don't have gender apartheid, you don't have tribalism, people want to come. And so if they would just advocate that menu outside of the West, we wouldn't have this problem. But they have this weird situation where they welcome people in, and as soon as they get in, they trash the country that they want to live in, and then they romanticize the country they've abandoned. It's bizarre.
It's actually stunning. Victor Davis Hanson, no one puts it better than you do. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.